Freight Efficiency with NACFE's Mike Roth and Friends.
Here in episode 81, we're joined by Dave Beasley. He's Vice President Commercial Tires, North America, Goodyear Tires and Rubber Company, where we talk about his 40 years at the company, including his time in blimp operations. Yes, I said that right, blimp operations. He also talks about trucking as a relationship business, the role of retreading tires, why cheaper tires are not always the best choice, the importance of sustainability, and why you need to continue to learn and adapt. Today we have joining us Dave Beasley. Dave is Vice President of Commercial Tires, North America at the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. I'm really excited to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, it's great to be here, Mike. And just to join you and talk a little about trucking and tires. So it sounds like fun.
Yeah, I mean, we always have a lot of change, it seems, in our industry, but, tires are kind of a given, aren't they? I mean, we got rubber on the road and whether it's, might get into electric trucks or other things in our time together, but kind of it doesn't really matter. You still got tires on the road. So I always ask right off the bat, this is Freight Efficiency with Mike Roth and Friends. And so I consider you a friend, and we haven't known each other that long, but do you remember how we first met?
Oh, absolutely. We had a fleet symposium. So our fleet symposiums, we invite a group of fleets, some that are currently doing business with us, some that aren't. And we bring them in just to talk about trucking, talk about tires. And you were actually our keynote speaker for a fleet symposium we had in Akron here. Maybe it was last year. I can't exactly remember when it was, but you did a great job. And then that evening we had a dinner, and I settled down in a booth with you and Letty, and we started talking about trucking and tires. I had a lot of questions for you on new technology, startups, EVs, hydrogen fuel cell, and
yeah, it was a great event. And I did enjoy sharing thoughts, and we do some of these events where there's a lot of corporate people. You had Goodyear field sales and service folks there with their customers. So, and then me, right? So it's like, it's very focused and private, and it get to really good questions. So that the customers, and it's nice for Goodyear to allow me to come in and share our thoughts, and then also just let the fleets and the people who are buying trucks and tires, ask their questions without you kind of being in the middle. So it's really good. I will share a story though. I mean, that night, you came and sat with Letty and I about 2/3 through it, and then everybody left, and you and I closed. The three of us closed the place. But on the walk home, she said, "That was a wonderful guy. I mean, what's his role at Goodyear?" And I said, "Well, honey, he's the man. He's in charge of everything there." She goes, "Oh my God, you didn't tell me that. I didn't know that." And I said, "Well, that's fine. We had a great conversation." But for this, I think we'll just talk about the business and some of the things that we're seeing and get your insights. But I was before, and I knew this, but I looked through your history, and you ran the airship operations for Goodyear's 3 blimps. I got to hear a story or two. You got something for the audience? What's it like doing that?
Well, first of all, it was a blast, because you never have a dissatisfied customer with the blimp and a ride on the blimp. That's for sure. It was good. I had my current job leading the truck business in Asia Pacific. And, my 3-year assignment there in Shanghai came to an end, and came back, and they asked me to lead blimp operations. We were actually converting the fleet over from the old style blimps to really it's not a blimp, it's a semi-dirigible, it's a semi-rigid airship. So we were actually decommissioning and building new airships, 3 new airships, new ground support equipment, new facilities. So it was a pretty big capital project. And they just asked from a business side, would I come in and just lead that effort? And I did that for 4 years. I love it. Everybody loves the blimp, and it's part of what we do. It's college football, it's NASCAR racing, it's golf. We provide aerial coverage for that. We do the rides we do are really charitable rides. And a fun story is I was serving on a local nonprofit board here in Akron, and they were having, it happens, these dinners for fundraising. And, I had donated a blimp ride, or Goodyear had, for some fundraising. And there was a couple sitting at my table that she wanted to get her mother up on the blimp for a ride. And another couple on another table, another part of the room. So there was a bidding war started. And, and I'll tell you, Mike, I mean, I've seen the blimp rides it went for $20,000.
That's fantastic.
It's unbelievable for charity. They get it all. And then they came to me and said, hey, the other couple said, if you give them a blimp ride, they'll match the $20,000. So it ended up $40,000. And it just blew me away that type of giving. And of course, the charity, the nonprofit, was really excited. So that was fun. I was there when we christened 2 of the 3 airships and blimps, and that was fun to meet, celebrities and do that. It was a fun job, but I was ready to. At the end of it, my current boss asked me to come back to lead the North American truck business. That was 6 years ago, and I love this job. This is a job I always wanted in Goodyear, so it's fun.
Yeah. Well, let's get there. We'll talk about the blimp when we're together some other time. I'm a student of marketing and branding, and it's got to be a pretty big cost that you've chose to maintain the blimps, but let's get on with it. So most of your career has been with Goodyear, as you told me. And so, tell me tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of what makes you tick, and, what skills have you been able to get over time, whether it's in college or in different roles that prepared you for this role here in commercial tires in North America?
Yeah. Good question. Yeah, 40 years. It'll be 40 years in January. I've been with Goodyear right out of college, hired in. And about after 5 or 6 years, I started getting involved in truck tires. I was running a store, being a manager of a retail store that did truck tires, ran service as well as retail, and just loved the truck business and grew an affinity for it, and really spent most of my career since then in and around truck tires. And for me, my whole thing has been problem solving, fixing things for Goodyear. I'm not an engineer by trade, more sales and marketing side of the business, but that's what's kind of helped me and helped trucking company. Mike, it is better probably than I do. They need help running their business, solving problems, and I think that mindset has really helped me as I, build relationship with customers and all of that. Very analytical, do a lot of numbers to let numbers drive the decision making and the problem fixing. So it's fun.
Yeah, I think one of the things you said there intrigues me. I mean, first of all, I do think the trucking industry is run by the numbers. I mean, you talk to fleets, they can talk their cost per mile to even the hundredths of a penny. They're so into the details around numbers. But I also think that there's such a high level of collaboration, and this is what keeps me in this industry, is that we want to help each other. So there are times, I'm sure, and I think what you're alluding to is there's probably times where Goodyear or you yourself are talking to a fleet and just talking about the business and talking about moving freight and talking about drivers and talking about technicians, that you may help them solve a problem completely different from tires, just because there's this like open problem solving and sharing that we have in the industry. Does that feel like right to you, or is that what you're saying?
Totally right. Yeah, totally right. I mean, a lot of that will just come out of normal conversations, just learning, and as they share what problems they're trying to solve, what keeps them up at night, and we just talk it through. Yeah, absolutely. This is such a relationship business, right, Mike? I mean, you got to have the relationship, and once you have that, then you just work together.
Right. So I think these two pieces is what keeps us sharp as an industry, because some would say, well, if it's a relationship business, then you don't need to worry so much about cost. You got loyal customers that are come to you almost no matter what, right? That's not the case. We're very cost driven, and so you got this almost like check and balance of relationships and focus on cost and time. I mean, freight is about cost and time, and I think they those two things keep us sharp.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Yep.
So in your role now, I mean, so commercial tires, where's the line between commercial and passenger? Do you go all the way down to, class 2B and 3 in your role, or are you more on the heavier side?
Yeah, more on the heavier. We do go down to, I tell it the type of vehicle, like a UPS, FedEx package van. Part of that is construction. Retreading is a big portion of what we do. So we deliver to those smaller tires, smaller rim diameter tires that are highly retreadable to a FedEx or a UPS that they in turn trade. So we go all the way up to an 18-wheeler then, or a school bus or a garbage truck. So it's kind of that variation of vocation type of vehicle. And Amazon, the home delivery, they still run more of a fabric tire, non-retreadable. So that really falls into our consumer tire business today.
Got it.
It's
Understand.
getting grayer as we speak.
Yeah. So tell us what's on the mind of the head of commercial tires, a tire company. I mean, what are the things that you're most excited about that you've got going on right now, and maybe some of the things that keep you up at night? What's the key things you're working on that affect your business?
Yeah. I think it's really, we got to continue to lead in cost impacts. There's always cheaper alternatives. I mean, there's a company out there, and there's hundreds of tire manufacturers that can build a tire cheaper than what we at Goodyear can do it. However, can it run? Can it, exactly what you were saying, can they provide the data that would show cost per mile that we do? Can they provide retreading? Can they provide solutions to help the fleet understand what their costs are? You can provide the data, whether it's drive over readers or whatever it may be, fleet inspection tools, to help them get that lowest overall total cost of ownership or cost per mile. So it's constantly around looking at through the windshield at what's coming forward rather than what's coming, because there's always people on your tail. Where are we going to move? What do fleets need? And that's the reason why you talked about earlier, to have those conversations with fleet customers. What do they really need in order to help grow their business?
Yeah, I think tires are probably maybe the best example, now that you're saying it, of like a component. And I've learned a lot about tires over the last maybe 20 years, where they're just not rubber with air in them. And so, but they're a good proxy for the whole industry looking at total cost of ownership. So you can spend less money on a tire but add costs in other places, or you can spend more money on tire and lower costs in other places. I mean, fuel economy is related to the tire design. Blowouts, I mean, I was shocked when we did our tire pressure work that on a Class 8 tractor, it's not uncommon for a fleet to have a roadside tire issue.
Yeah.
Once a year. Now, a lot of that's not the tire's fault. It's that the air's not in appropriately for the load and so forth. But, I think you're exactly right. This is the way the industry looks at even, trucks and everything. I mean, the upfront cost is one thing, but what impact that has on your business over time, retreadability, wear in and of itself, et cetera.
Yeah, and if you have a tire failure, do you have the network, the fleet of servicing locations out there to get that truck back up and running? Talked about time, it's uptime, right? And they don't want that vehicle down as little as possible. They don't want it down, period. But when it does go down, it's made to be back up and running as fast as possible.
So when I ask you how sustainability, and whether sustainability is like a consumer or a customer, or even your your ownership or bosses or board, how has has is sustainability a big part of what is now on your plate to work on or not? And if it is, how does that show up with respect to tires and the work you're doing?
Yeah, it's all around new products. There's not a fleet, especially a larger fleet, that we don't sit down with for a quarterly business review meeting that doesn't bring up sustainability and measuring that. How can we help them? And a lot of that work today, and you helped us talk about it when you were in for the Fleet Symposium, is around product development, sustainable product development. We just, we're using soybean oil as a replacement for petroleum, far more sustainable products. We're looking at other items. Retreading by its nature is recycling. And that really drives sustainability. So we really look at that, and that's really what is driving our 5-year, 10-year product roadmap, is sustainability plus new technologies, EV, so on.
Right. And how does fuel economy factor into all of this?
What's important, it's really, that's the surrogate. I mean, fuel economy for an EV is range, right? You get lower rolling resistance leads to less fuel, leads to greater range. So that principle is there, and fuel economy is important, but it's really, for tires, it's really tied to the price of diesel. And I couldn't tell you what the break-even point is on it, but there's a point where fleets really start driving, they'll sacrifice wear for fuel economy. I'm talking in the big picture, not a particular fleet. And there's others that, once it's there, they don't want to sacrifice wear, because rolling resistance by nature, you're going to get lower wear if you have lower rolling resistance. So, we really work with the fleets for what's best for them. But for EVs, it's all around increasing range, which comes from rolling resistance.
Right. And can you customize tires for customers? I mean, so if they do want to focus on, higher wear and this, that, or the other, I mean, you have different tread patterns and different things that allow you to do that, but there's got to be a limit to that.
Yeah, there is a limit, right? It's economies of scale. It's how you build the tires. You got to have a certain throughput in order for it to make. We're just not at the point where we can use very low lot sizes to keep the costs down in the tire manufacturing. But absolutely, we do, and we pick products that really work well with fleets. Typically, it's products that we make, but we've done, for a larger fleet, we've made products specifically for them and for their needs, certainly.
Yeah. So we only have like 5 or 6 minutes left, and I want to hit you. I want to hit a couple of topics, not like in a speed round so much, but there's 2 things that, given our relationship, that I'm really curious on what you think about it. The first one is about the people that we're hiring into this industry and are helping us with the challenges. So, I've been in and around the trucking industry 37 years, and one of the things that I see right now is somehow trucking's become kind of cool because we got more women, we got more minorities, we have more just talent. I mean, I just find it really interesting, and I think it has to do a little bit. I've said it many times. I think that trucking's now at the cool kids table. Do you feel that way? Or are you seeing it? And do you have this? I mean, you can disagree with me in front of everybody if you want, Dave, but it seems like that's going to make a stronger industry to tackle some of these changes.
Oh, totally. No, the industry is definitely changing for sure. Part of it is you got a lot of startups that are coming into the industry from these new technologies, not just EVs, but other things to help with tire wear. I think of there's many companies that are out there really doing some leading edge stuff that are really learning about the trucking industry and contributing to it. It is really, really exciting. It was kind of I hate to say it, but it was really kind of an old man's business when I first came in many years ago. And it's not that way anymore. It was part of it is, I joked many years ago, everybody in the trucking industry was from Missouri. It was the show me state. It took forever to convert a customer over and do all that. I want to say that's changed dramatically, but the openness to change and to adopt new technologies. Again, you got to prove the value, but it's there.
I agree, and I think there's less. I think it's manyfold. One is there's less doubt that it won't work. We've seen technologies work. Also, a lot of these technologies are coming pretty fast, and some of their demands we have control of, and some of them we don't. With regulations, I mean, we're definitely going to have electric trucks, hydrogen fuel cell trucks. I mean, if that affects our business, we better figure out how to either play in that or get out of it or adapt or something. So, I think there's inevitable change, and I think that excites a lot of people and brings people to the market, brings people to our career fairs or our job fairs, and helps us recruit and hire, and I think that's a really good thing. With respect to new technologies and startups, that was really my second question that you just brought up. How do you? I mean, are they helpful to us? Are the traditional 100-year-old or more companies like you are? Or not. They can be a burden or a benefit. They're probably a little of both, but how do you view that?
No, not only me, but our company, we've invested through our venture fund in a lot of new technologies. Companies, Gatic for one, many others, some autonomous companies too beyond Gatic. Some EV companies. We see it as the new mobility. What's the future of trucking? What's the future of just transportation overall? It's really important to be right there with the leading technology, the thought leaders, and to learn from them and to grow along with them. So we see that as critical as our company.
Yeah, and I think we have a bit of a responsibility to help them learn trucking. I a number of hours of every week. If I look back and really thought about it, it was me, and I'm sure you and people at Goodyear and other places just helping explain what the trucking industry is like. Now, obviously things are changing, so what we thought we knew may not be as true going forward. But they really need that. And then it's a matter of, okay, well, am I spending my time with somebody who's got a good idea that really is going to be part of the solution or not? Because, startups come and go, but these are dynamic times. So what's your advice to anybody listening about how they should handle sort of this, maybe high risk, high reward, or kind of stressful time going forward with, global competition, new technologies, startups, regulations, all of that mixed together? What's your advice to people on how to move forward?
I can tell you the advice I give myself. I mean, you just got to be a learner. Mike, that's the reason why I love talking to you, because you really know this stuff. The work you do, it really is helpful. You gotta stay on top of things. You gotta understand the technologies. What's the pros? What's the cons? We can't do business with all the new technologies that come through in terms of investments and so on and so forth. So you got to pick winners and you got to go with them. But you also got to look at what's going on around. So just constantly learn and adapt is really how I think about it for myself.
Yeah, great point. Not get the other side of that coin is not get too stuck in our ways, right?
Absolutely.
Learning and adapting. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dave. It's been nice having you on, and appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thanks, Mike.
Freight Efficiency with NACV's Mike Roth and Friends.